Who amongst you went back to the boat at any point today?
I haven't been.
Oh God.
Who?
Somebody went
Anybody?
full demon.
Orphan didn't. Did anybody else?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
That must have been me who went full demon since I didn't hear it. Sorry.
That's
Alright.
usually how it works.
So you go back inside the palace, you and Fred, with the letter from House Nibiri. You make some inquiries that you have urgent message for Prince Humberth, and you're shown back up to his quarters. At this point, he's alone. He's not alone. He's got a couple of the guildmasters up there still exploring some avenues of potential value. And you enter, you and Fred, and they welcome you in.
Alright, I say, Prince, I just received a message from House Nibiri, and I thought it might be useful to our strategic discussions to open it together.
He has a very stony look on his face, because he knows your dealings with House Nibiri, and he knows that you just kind of crossed blades with him about this not long ago. Proceed.
Alright, so I take out the message, and I crack the seal and open it.
And it is just an informal invitation. It's just saying, Eldove, we would like for you to dine with us on morrow next. That's it.
Alright. And I ask him what I think we should do, because maybe I could find out some information if I were to go.
Humberth considers this, like, very deeply. Like, he looks like he's very deep in thoughts. And the younger princess, Naimu, she's 15 years old. She is Nulna of the liaison to the Zal, so she'll have a vote in any proceedings. She says, I think it's a fine idea. She says, my father would be able to put to use any information you can bring back. And Humberth looks at her and looks at you. Are you deceiving Humberth? Are you intending to betray him?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Nice answer.
Not at this time.
Yeah.
Okay. And he regards you...
Because at the moment, Eldove feels like his loyalties to its prince go over his loyalties to a trade contact.
Right. And you see a little bit of suspicion in his eyes for a moment, because you just had an argument with him about this a couple of days ago. But it goes away very quickly. And he nods and says, I put my faith in you, Eldove. I think she's correct. Sit in on the meeting. Make no promises, but if you learn anything useful, bring it back to us.
Alright. And I nod at him and then go to leave the meeting and send back a message from... Well, I'm staying in the palace, what the hell? I just get a palace servant to send a message accepting the invitation.
Okay. And Fred, once he has a moment alone with you, says, you know, take my meaning, I've gotten in good with the, I have her name right in front of me here, I think. Yeah, I've gotten in good with the Nulna of the Guild of Song, the instrument makers. Me and her had a bit of a romp, you might say. I would play a part in this too, if you had something for me to do.
Okay, this is out of context. Let me just look over at that guide there.
Scroll down to the purple part. The people who are undecided.
Okay,
these are guilds.
so they're in the purple part?
Yeah, these are guilds that are going to vote, but nobody's sure how they're going to vote. And there's 3 guilds. The Guild of Song, the Songbirds of Isis, and the Council of Fine Arts. These 3 guilds traditionally always vote as a block. Like, if you sway one, all 3 of them get swayed. So that's potentially 3 votes for House Estenu if Fred can work his magic on this sand elf that he's gotten in with.
Alright, how do, what's the culture of this city like? I'm asking this of Fred. I mean, he's a bard, so he would know. I'm thinking that, if he was to go work his magic with them, and also perhaps get them to create some kind of love story of the love between the prince and the Yolna, and mentioning the adventures that we had taken place to take out the sea witch and bring him to her, that
Well, you ask him what the culture of Qisca's like, and he kind of chuckles a little bit. He says, "My apologies, but most of the culture that I know of come at the bottom of a wine bottle."
That's perfect. Drinking. What we want are drinking songs.
He says, "Well, then I'll set up a meet in the next day or two. How does that sound?"
That sounds perfect. Let me know any progress that you make.
He says, "If I don't see you, I'll leave word at the ship."
Excellent.
Zook.
Yeah.
Quick yes or no question. Do you seek out Orphan's help as far as the ancient and exalted order of Eretsu?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so Orphan, sometime during the next few hours, Zook finds you and shows you these schematics and explains to you what the Guild of Shadows explained to him. I'm assuming, though, he doesn't tell you where the information came from. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I don't tell him that. Tell her that.
What do you tell her? Like what are the things that you tell her?
Good question. How do I explain it?
I have a means to potentially get us some loot if we do some people this favor.
Do you explain what the favor is?
Brickroad, explain to me again exactly. He wants me to use these schematics to rig a machine to cast a vote?
Yeah,
Is
he
that
says
correct?
that as far as anybody knows, they use arcane traditions or whatever to determine who to vote for in political matters. But what Talos has learned is they actually just use a machine to randomly determine it. And if you were to tamper with this machine in a particular way, you can ensure that it will come up the way that the Guild of Shadows wants it to go.
The way I phrase it is they want us to use these schematics to make a machine work the way that they want it to work.
I say, okay, yeah, so that sounds interesting. I've been trying to learn more about this order of Heiritsu. Perhaps with your help, I could finally get in and learn the truth.
Cool! Sounds like fun.
Okay. My other question is, what do you do with the bracelet?
For now, I stash it. I probably don't keep it on me all the time, so let's say I put it back in my footlocker or wherever I'm keeping my excess loot.
Okay. Well, make no mistake about it. By the time you leave tonight, if you haven't done anything with the bracelet, you're not going to have another chance. Because by the end of this session, like, the decision of Jaw will be made, with or without your input.
This is happening tonight?
No, but I know you have to leave in like an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, when do you intend to do something with it, and what?
I tell Orphan to meet me at the other place later tonight. I gotta go do a thing.
So to meet at the
Does she
tavern.
say what the other place is?
Well, that's actually
the
the name of the
tavern
tavern is the other place.
Oh, is
Oh,
it?
there you go.
Yeah, well,
The other place. I love it. That's pretty good.
To go to the Hirsute tavern.
hold on, I gotta type something, McDohl, but I actually have to take my headset off first because if I try to lean back, I'll strangle myself. So sorry,
I
but
mean,
we're
you
doing.
can just answer. You can just answer that question like.
information over here. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to.
I'm
abandon
back
you
as well. What did I miss here?
Nothing that concerns you.
Okay.
Okay, so I tell Orphan to meet me at the tavern that I'm assuming she told me where this ancient order meets at, right?
It's not a secret. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
The other place.
So
The other
yes,
place.
the other place tavern. So I tell her to meet me there in an hour, and I'm gonna go do a thing. If that's cool.
So, all right, I'll see you there. Good luck good luck with your endeavor.
All right. So
I think if Zook was going to the bathroom, he would just be super evasive about it. Like, I need to go take care of an operation in a certain place.
I need to go see a man about a thing.
Zook is apparently talkative, but very, very vague at all times. All right, so me and this god-awful bee thing are going to go to the High Ward. What do I want to do? So
I was hoping you'd give the bee to Orphan to deliver. 'Cause that would have been high comedy.
see, I don't know that I would trust anyone else to take care of this.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So, no, I'm gonna go and yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go. We're gonna go to where I got this from, and go to the front door and
Okay.
and request an audience.
One of the servants opens the door, and you don't see a look of recognition on him. Request an audience with the Null?
Yes, sir.
This is very irregular. Regarding what?
I have acquired something that I believe belongs to him.
The servant stands up straight and invites you in. He says, wait here. He leaves you alone in this little room. You were never downstairs in the manor, so you actually haven't been in this room before. You did all
I
your
have
work
not
upstairs.
been in this room before. Yeah.
And before long, the Null comes downstairs into the entryway. And you recognize the man as who was asleep in the bedroom when you first stole this bracelet from this very house. And his name is Null Azakis. He looks down with you and says,
Zook. Go ahead.
welcome to the house. I understand you have something to share with me.
All right. Zook turns on every ounce of his charisma. He is going to speak as politely and eloquently as he is capable. And he says, Exalted Null, it is a pleasure to speak with you this evening. Thank you for taking the time. I was given an object to deliver to you, and a message. And I pull out the chest and hand it to him on bended knee.
Make a charisma check with advantage.
Alrighty.
As politely as he's capable. Oi, governor, I got this ring of you.
As politely as I
would
can. You may not remember, but I was here last week, and
So that'd be an 11 versus a...
And I wanted to ask, what was the deal with the
Shit.
boiling water?
Yeah. What is up with that?
Yeah. I heard
So
some
straight-
straight noises.
So straight charisma, I only rolled an 11, unfortunately.
okay. And you don't have a lot of practice speaking to people of this particular class, but he doesn't regard you with any offense. He seems to understand, like, okay, he's not used to dealing with nobility, so I will let his indiscretions slide. He nods and he says, "Oh, all right, let's have it."
I'm just standing there with the thing in my hand. Does he take it
Oh,
from me, or do I
you
need
took
to
it out?
open
Oh, I didn't know you took it out. Okay.
I took it out and presented it to him. I'm holding it out with outstretched arms.
The box or the bracelet?
Just the chest.
Okay.
At this point.
And he opens the box in your hands and he sees the bracelet. And he looks back at you and he says, "How did you come by this?"
I was sent as a humble messenger from representatives of the House Nabiri. I was told to inform you that this was recovered off of some ruthless bandits who, I assume, acquired it through illicit means. And I was told to bring it to you, by care of House Nabiri, with the hopes that you would return the favor in the form of a vote
For House Nabiri.
And
for House Nabiri.
he seems a little taken aback, but he accepts the chest and closes it back up and takes it out of your hands. That's very noble of them. I wish I could be certain they weren't the ones who burglarized it in the first place. He reaches into his pouch and he takes out a copper and flips it to you. This is,
Oh, that's nice of him.
I
tell-
grab it and I act as if this copper means the world to me, and I don't have, let me just double check, 8,200 gold at home.
You can't buy and sell his house.
I act as if this will help me eat this evening.
Okay.
I bow my head all the way to the carpet and say, "Thank you, Your Grace."
okay.
And then make to leave, I suppose.
Yeah, he says, tell your masters they'll have our support and our friendship.
"Thank you, sir." And
He goes
I
back
get
in the
out.
house.
All right, and I'll leave. and I'll go meet up with Orphan if we're done here. No one
Alright.
stops me.
Okay, so Zook,
Yes, sir.
here's what you just accomplished.
Yes.
You basically just got +2 votes for House Nabiri.
Woohoo!
One
I don't
because one because you bought the house vote itself, and the house also controls the Apiarist Guild. So we make a note of that. That's the wrong keyboard. All right. And Orphan is waiting for you back at that other place when you get there.
All right.
How did it go?
Oh, I took care of it.
Good to hear. Oh,
Everyone else
sorry.
just go quiet.
Yeah, I cut out for a second.
Yeah,
Oh.
I cut out for just a second, but I think we're okay.
So
Okay.
what's the plan now? Back at this the other place.
That is a good question. So all he told me was they use a machine. Did he tell me where the machine is?
In the basement of the tavern,
Said-
he says.
Basement of the tavern. Okay. In basement. Well, I tell Orphan that it's in the basement. I ask her, "Have you been in the basement? Have you been? Where have you been in this tavern?"
I thought I'd say no, but not for lack of trying.
Do you have any contacts that maybe could get us in this basement?
I think to myself, because like I have like 3 contacts in town, and they're all over the School of Senses.
Right.
Hmm.
Although Zook,
Yes.
because you know that Orphan has spent so much time in the School of Senses, the Guild of Senses is traditionally one of the guilds that stays out of politics. Like, Nal Kantar is not expected to vote. So if you were to persuade Orphan to help in the political endeavor, that would be an avenue she could explore.
Yeah, but the thing is, Zook doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, Zook doesn't care about the politics. He's
I don't-
trying to accomplish...
Dude, I don't blame him. I barely care about these politics.
Right, like, Zook really, like, he's seeing this as a task, as a means to an end, you know?
Okay.
He wants to get his hands on that treasure map, or that treasure scroll, and I'm sure that the Guild of Shadows would love for him to talk her into doing all this stuff, but he's just interested in doing what he was assigned.
He was given one very specific job.
Yeah, it was very specific. Now, if the job
You
had
had
been
one job.
if the job had been swing the vote, he would take every avenue he could possibly do, but it wasn't. So right now he's interested in getting in this basement. So
Well, getting in the tavern is easy enough. And it's
Yeah,
pretty
let's go
well
have a
hopping
drink.
this time of night. There's music, there's frothy ale. The meat has already been picked clean for the evening, but there's still hard bread and scraps if you're interested.
okay, we go in and we take a table, and similar to before, we make a show of taking a table, ordering a drink, trying not to look entirely out of place, and Duke scans the room, looks for entrances, looks
Right.
for access to the basement.
Watching the place, you see a lot of the doors open and close throughout the evening. One you assume goes back to the kitchens. One goes back into a hallway where there's may perhaps be some offices or storage rooms. But one door in particular never opens at all during the course of the evening. Nobody ever comes in or out of it. It's back behind the counter area. There's a door that leads back into the kitchens. And there's another door, caddy corner to it, on the perpendicular wall. It doesn't look any different. It's still just a regular wooden door, but nobody's ever opened it at all throughout the whole evening.
Anyone appear to be guarding it?
Nope.
So would I have noticed that door before, and could I just point it out to him?
Well, you failed your check pretty badly.
That's true.
But so, I mean, when you were in here earlier, it was a different time of day. It wasn't as busy, and there was a lot of doors that nobody was coming in and out of. There doesn't
Gotcha.
didn't seem to be much official business happening. But now we're in the full swing of a week-long religious festival in the evening. Everybody is done with their work for the day, done watching the fights. Either they've made a lot of money on the bets, or they have become destitute thereby. So, but Zook specifically notices it,
Okay.
mostly because this is his storyline now.
I'm a Mary Sue.
You are.
So, all right. So I make note of this door, and is it loud enough that I can have quiet conversation with the orphan without everyone in the world hearing me?
Absolutely. Feel free.
All right. So I lean close to her, and over my beer, I actually raise my mug to my mouth, very cautiously, and I indicate to her I want to see what's behind that door.
All right, so I nod and say, well, there's one simple way to find out if it's locked or not.
You gonna just cross the room and check it for me?
No, I can use thaumaturgy to make an unlocked door slam open.
Yeah, you can.
And if it doesn't work, then we'll assume it's locked.
And if it does work, we'll have a wide open door that everyone in the place is going to notice.
That's true, but at least we'll get a look inside.
Sure. Let's see if that door's locked your way.
Okay, so I absolutely didn't foresee this at all. This will be interesting.
Good decisions.
Zook finished half his beer before making this decision, apparently.
All right, so I concentrate briefly and glance at the door and focus my will and thaumaturgically open it.
And
If it's unlocked.
It swings open inward and slams against the wall, and it makes a jarring noise, and everybody looks that direction. And you can see clearly into the door. It's not lit inside, but the room enough is well lit. That
I have
immediately.
dark vision.
Yeah, we both have dark vision.
That's true, you do. But what you see is just a staircase leading downstairs, so you can't actually see where the room goes. But when the door slams open, like immediately one of the workers here at the tavern heads over to close it. Another man stands up at his table.
Wait. Oh, sorry. I just had an idea.
Okay, let's hear your idea.
What is the floor made of?
Good question. Mud brick, probably.
Let's see. So my elemental attunement gives me the ability to cause earth, fire, water, or mist that can fit within a 1-foot cube to shape itself into a cube form I designate for 1 minute. I could cause the brick of the floor to poke up a bit, holding it open.
Well, it opened inward, so the door itself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if the door itself is no longer sitting flush against the floor. It opens inward up over these stairs. I see what you're going for, though. I'll still let you make the roll and try it. Like you want to do something to wedge the door open. Does it have any effect on wood or metal?
It does not say wood or metal. It says
Okay.
earth, fire, water, or mist because it's elemental attunement.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's
Yeah, I'll let you make it try.
So if there's stone involved, then probably earth bending would do it. But yeah, and there's no roll; it just happens.
It just happens. Okay. I didn't think much about the structural integrity of these buildings, but yeah, the walls are probably made out of mud brick.
the entire fucking place caves in.
So
like...
what do you do? You just create a cube that comes out from the wall?
Let's see. What would be a thing to do? So it
Zook,
swung,
meanwhile, is just fascinated by what's happening here.
so it swung inward, and I'm trying to think of a way to do this that would not immediately cause everyone to identify the tiefling in the room as the culprit. Let's see. Is there... Well, I couldn't see the other side of the door is a big problem in this equation, because if I knew that it had like a handle or something, I could shape the wall around the handle on the other side.
But you do not know
If it
such
helps
a handle
any,
exists.
Nick, nobody knows shit about tieflings.
Right.
That's not actually true in Qisca. Nick is considered a conduit of evil, we learned last week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they don't know what specific evil.
That's true.
How about this? I'll pull something down like a small spike down from the ceiling, because people probably won't be looking up.
Okay.
Nobody ever looks up. Nobody looks up.
You form a bit of the ceiling that comes down, acting as a wedge so the door can't be pulled close again. And as you're working this, and you're right, nobody notices it, a man at one of the tables stands up, slams his mug down, and says, "Friends, we've been given a sign! My brothers, it is time!" And then he sits down and begins chanting, hum, num, 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 num. And many of the other people in the room sit down at their tables, close their eyes, and join in this ridiculous-sounding, droning chant. Num, 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 num.
Can I try to join in?
Yeah, if you want.
Sure.
I mean, nobody...
Okay,
What'd you say? No, go ahead. You're the player. You're more interesting than me.
So they're chanting. Are they closing their eyes, bowing their heads?
Yes, this man stood up and said, "Friends, it is time. We've been given a sign." And he sat down. Not everybody in the room, but the people who are apparently brothers of the ancient and exalted order of whatever. They've closed their eyes. They've placed their hands on the tables, palms facing upward, and they began this ridiculous-sounding droning chant.
Zook notices this immediately and will try to sneak through the door.
Notices this immediately as if this is an impressive feat. Everybody in the room sitting down at tables and starting to chant.
This is pretty ridiculous, yes. Zook, make a stealth check. DC, I'm going to set at 15. Because it's still a well-lit room and not everybody has joined into this chant. Before you roll, Orphan,
okay.
if you want to create a distraction for Zook, he can take it with advantage.
Okay. Yeah, that's no problem to do.
What kind of distraction?
Let's see. You know what? I'm going to... since I'm listening to this happening, let's see. You can cast cantrips anytime, right?
Thaumaturgy doesn't require concentration, does it?
I'm looking it up right now.
Because you can only have one concentration spell, but yeah, cantrips you can cast at any time. But if you cast a cantrip that requires concentration, then your mud brick is going to go away if thaumaturgy requires it.
Well, the mud brick is not thaumaturgy.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Gotcha.
It's elemental discipline.
Then yeah, you're probably fine.
It doesn't say it requires concentration. So, since I yeah, I can have up to 3 if it's 1 minute effects active at a time.
Yeah. So you're in the clear.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join in the chant, but I'm going to cause my voice to boom up to 3 times as loud as normal.
Okay.
So I'm chanting the loudest in the room, and everybody can hear it.
Okay. So this droning chant is already filling everybody's ears, and then suddenly Orphan above just booms out. Like, let's hear it, Nick. Let's hear it. And the people in the room who aren't joining in the chant, like, they know that these sworn brothers of Iretsu were kind of weird, but now they're seeing this Tiefling with a tail joining in the chant and drowning everybody else out. All attention is being paid to her. So, Zook, you can make a stealth check. DC 15, you have advantage.
That'll do it.
That should do it right there.
16.
You have no problem. Not only do you have no trouble sneaking down into the stairway, but you're kind of glad to be out of that room.
Yeah. So thanks for the help. Thanks for the help, Orphan. All right, so I'm going down the stairs now.
Sneak down into the basement.
If you had at any point told Orphan what you were actually doing and what the machine did, she would never have done this.
I know.
She would not have.
And so the stairway goes underground. And to a small hallway, at the end of which is a door. Again, not locked. And when you open it up, you have dark vision, so you can see in here, but there's no source of light. The whole room is covered in purple silks. Like, there are silks hanging from the walls. The floor is carpeted with silk carpeting. There's a circular table in the center, upon which is a large purple-colored silk cloth. There are 12 chairs situated around the table, all of which have silk cushions upon them. And in the middle is some kind of mechanical device that sits on the table in a brass base. And it looks like there's a glass dome that comes up and over it. And in the center of the brass base is a coin.
Okay.
It all comes down to a coin flip.
Right. Well, I have this schematic, so what does it tell me about this machine?
Well, what do you do in the room?
Well, I'm gonna cross. I'm cross over to the machine and pull out the schematic and.
Okay. Examining the machine, there's a lever on each side of it that can be. Looks like you can grab hold of it, pull it along the base of the machine, and there's a spring. And when you release it, it will ratchet itself back into place. So there's one of these on either side. Give me an intelligence check.
Oh, this should be fun.
Just
I'm not the
straight,
smartest
you know what?
little
Just straight intelligence.
That is a 6.
6.
-1. You know what? No. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna spend a lucky token on this.
Okay. See, you could. That lucky is like the most broken feat in the game right now, but it's great, and it fits Zook perfectly.
All right, so that'll be
There
a
we go.
17. I hope that's enough.
Without playing with the device, you kind of go back and forth between the schematics and the device, and it looks relatively simple. It looks like when you pull one of these levers, part of the base will pop up, and the coin will flip. It looks that simple.
I knew it.
It looks like the glass dome can be removed simply by rotating it on the side and pulling it up carefully, and then setting it back into place.
Okay. How can I rig a coin flipping machine? I don't have a double-headed coin on myself, do I? Can I banana myself a double-sided coin?
You can't banana yourself, but you did earlier today say that you spent a great deal of time in the bazaar just looking for anything interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, before I do that...
I would be willing to banana him a two-headed coin.
No, this isn't banana worthy.
Okay.
But I would say that if a two-headed coin would have caught your eye in the bazaar...
Yeah. No, definitely. I would have definitely bought one of those.
Okay, then for 5 gold pieces, you buy a gold coin that has the same image on either side.
Okay, now, the real question is there any indication in the room of what side means what?
That's a good question, and no, there is not.
So I just rigged the machine, but I don't know what the result is. Well, I haven't rigged anything yet. I have the means to rig the machine.
You do.
But I don't know what the result is.
And you have a double-headed coin.
Rig the coin in my favor. Do it.
Well,
is
you
there
passed your intelligence check, so I guess I'll...
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, in the schematics. Part of it explains that for votes, a heads vote would inflect change, while a tails vote would inflect status quo. So if they use this device during their ritual to flip the coin, and they see tails, they would maintain, or, yeah, if they see it at heads, they would go for change. They would vote for Nibiri. If they see tails, that's status quo. And they, according from what you've heard from Taros and what you read in this book, that's all there is to it.
All right. Well, let's get this coin in there. So do I need to roll anything to sneak this coin in there?
You don't. You just, I mean, if you hadn't have made that intelligence check, I would have forced you to play with the device a little bit and perhaps break it. But it takes a little bit of dexterity. But you managed to get the glass dome off. Replace a coin, and then you can get it back on relatively easily. So now, no matter what, the coin will always come up heads.
Okay.
You are gonna ruin this guild.
Sorry, Nodal. Yeah, now that's gonna be... They are just gonna be always voting for change from now on.
Yes, essentially.
For the rest of time. That's
The
fine.
Chaos Gods have come into power.
Before I flee this room, is there anything worth taking?
We're not there
Anything
yet.
worth pocketing?
We're not there yet.
Oh.
You spent time
Okay.
down there examining the machine. You spent time flipping through the book. Orphan, back up in the common room. After about a minute of chanting, the rest of it dies. Do you continue chanting after the rest of it dies down?
No, my assignment turns only lasts a minute anyway.
Okay. After the chanting, the same man who stood up before stands up again and says, "Now, let us go, my friends, and consult the device." And many of these men start to make their way over to the open door.
Dun dun dun.
Well, this is simple enough. I'll just slam it in their face.
So, Zook, you hear
Yes.
you hear the chanting come to a stop. Well, mostly you hear Orphan stop chanting. You hear Orphan's chanting come to a stop from upstairs. And a couple seconds later, you hear the door from upstairs, not the door to the room you're in, the door way upstairs, slams shut forcibly.
Jeez it. Is there anywhere in this room that I could hide?
There are lots of places in this room you can hide. If you were to go under the table, the cloth comes all the way down to the floor. There are tapestries you could hide behind. There's ornamental artwork and statues and all kinds of just bizarre ancient order ritual things in the room. If you were to make a successful stealth check, nobody would find you because nobody would be looking for you.
I want to hide not under the table, behind some of the tapestries and whatnots.
Close to the door or far from the door?
As close to the door as possible, so I can try to slip out later.
Okay.
And that'll be an 18.
That does it.
Will that do it?
That's
okay.
more than enough. So, oh crap! Zook dies behind one of these tapestries. And there is some debate upstairs about whether the door slamming shut was a mere coincidence or whether it was a sign. And
They have to chant some more.
this goes back and forth for a few moments before they decide, no, it must have just been the wind. And they open the door, and they start marching down the stairs.
Am I able? Would they say anything if I followed them down?
They probably wouldn't allow it. Do you try?
Okay. All right.
Like, you're not a member of their order.
I'll at least make a try.
Orphan just tries to follow.
Because I
group.
was there and I was chanting and I'm like just hoping a little bit that'll get me somewhere with these.
And it absolutely doesn't. When you try to follow them down, the last man in the line turns around and looks you over and says, "Guild members only," and he closes the door in your face.
All right, so I'll shrug and go back to the table.
All right. As effective as your chanting was, I'm sure they all appreciated it, but it was not a guild initiation. And Zook, the Order of Eretsu marches into this room, take their places around the purple table. They join hands, they chant, they do all manner of strange things. They say prayers, they call for drinks, they imbibe said drinks, they get a little drunk. They chant a little flourishly for a while. There's some body singing. You get the impression that this guild is nothing but just nonsense. Just ruckus nonsense. There's all of the just ancient tradition and ritual and rumors surrounding this guild. Your read on the situation is that these are just 12 guys who, for some reason, have a vote, and nobody knows what they do.
They're the stonecutters.
I'm at this moment
Stonecutters.
very glad I didn't. I'm at this moment very glad I didn't waste a bunch of time checking out this order first when I had the option between this one and Guild of
That would have
Shadows.
been hilarious. I would have laughed my ass off.
No, I think we're good.
The thing is, though, the curious thing is, every time they reach a decision point in the night,
No.
well, shall we order the craftsman's brew or shall we order for that new elven wine? Well, we had the elven wine last night, and he pulls the crank and the coin flips and it bounces off the glass and it lands and says, "Ah, brew it is!" And it happens a few times over the course of the night. Every time they have to flip the coin, they end up changing something. It always comes up heads.
Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the metric system down? We do.
It would be very easy for you,
We
especially
do.
after they've had a few drinks, to slip out of the room unseen
Okay.
with another stealth check.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to leave hiding to get to the door and sneak out silently while they're... That'll
Okay.
Yeah, that does it. So,
Yeah.
Zook shakes his head at this appalling scene in front of him. He's like, at least cannibalism! That one could have been true. That would have been interesting, but no, they're not eating anybody. Although if they have a
yet.
vote, should we become cannibals? Well, let us consult the coin! That doesn't happen. You slip, and you actually get to the door just traveling behind the tapestries covering this wall. You hardly have to step out at all, but you manage to open the door and get back out and get up the stairs and get back out in the common room without being noticed. And before Orphan knows it, you're sitting at the table again, and Orphan did not even see you sit down.
Wow.
I take a very healthy pull of my beer and just sort of shake my head.
I nodded this and say, "Shall we go?"
I hold up a single finger, 1 second, and I keep pulling the beer up until it's drained all the way. Slam it down and say, "Yes."
Now we can go.
Now we can go.
There you go. And
All
that's the end of Zook's story for the night. Now McClain can leave leave the table and feel that he's accomplished something great.
Woohoo!
McClain.
All right. Yes.
I don't know when you're going to take off for the night, but
I'll give it to another 15-20 minutes or so. See what happens.
well, the two things that happen to you over the course of the next day or so are your short bow. You managed to come into possession of that, so you can add a +1 short bow to your sheet. That I don't believe it requires attunement, but let me double check. I want to remind everybody, though, that I'm making a straight 5%. Every magic item that gets introduced to the campaign, randomly generated or not, has a straight 5% chance of being cursed.
Right.
So, just putting that out there.
Okay. We're still in a big town, so I'm hoping I can uncurse myself if I happen to be lucky.
I just need to double check to see if this bow requires attunement. And then I'll just explain to you how it works.
Or if it's cursed.
I don't know if anybody...
Oh, he knows by now if it's cursed.
It doesn't require attunement, so you're fine. It's a +1 short bow. And I don't know if anybody in chat understands. This is, to my understanding, this is McClain's first major experience at role playing, and I think he's been doing a great job.
New to me.
So everybody give McClain a round of applause for playing
Aw.
Zook. He had a very tense situation last week. I thought I was going to give him heart palpitations.
Yeah.
We all thought he was dead.
It didn't help that we were playing Metal Gear Solid music and stuff on the
That's
playlist.
true. So Zook, how this short bow works? It's just the standard short bow stuff from out of the PHB. You add 1 to any hit and damage rolls with it.
Okay.
So +1 short bow. And the other thing is Taros gets in touch with you over the course of the next few days. Thanks you for the great work you've done for the Guild of Shadows. You've more than atoned for your sins against me, your first visit. And he bequeaths upon you the scroll, which we will deal with next session.
Oh, hell yes.
Because Nich and Destil are not going to be here next session, right?
Right.
So I'm going to have...
Duke, I just want to let you know, I don't hold any hard feelings unless you're not willing to share treasure hunting with me. And then
Oh
we're
no,
going down.
I will. Trust me, I will make Eldove quickly forget whatever happens.
Okay. So let's go back to Eldove then. Does anything else happen before the meeting with House Nibiri?
When is the meeting with House Nibiri?
He said on morrow next, so tomorrow evening.
Alright, well, tomorrow at noon, I would like to play a call on a guild.
Okay, which guild?
The Divers Guild.
The Divers Guild, okay. That's down in High Harbor. This is a guild that deals with salvage rights, mostly. Whenever a ship at sea goes down, contacts in Qisca are on good terms with seafaring races, mostly merfolk. And so they have the ability to salvage ships in a way that other port towns do not. And because there is considerable wealth in this endeavor, the Divers Guild... Tarin's not here anymore, he's going away. Sorry. The Divers Guild gets a vote in Qiscan politics. The Nalna of the Divers Guild is a mermaid. She keeps herself transformed into human form, or elven form, while she's doing business in Qisca. So, just for the sake of ease. What was that? Who's whipping it over there?
The dice just decided to spaz out over by Destil.
What?
Is Destil... Does Destil want to roll some dice?
Destil's he's haunting us. So
Destil's ghost.
But what came up in the meeting with Humberth is that the Nalna of the Divers Guild, merfolk don't have the same kind of society as humans tend to build. They don't have the same resources, so they don't have the same sense of politics. So she doesn't really have an interest in Qiscan politics outside of what wealth she can make for her people, basically.
Okay.
So you go down to Harbor. to the premises of the Divers Guild.
I would actually like to tap a character trait.
Okay.
As a noble, I have a position of privilege, which means I can get access to a meeting with the local nobles or whoever if I need to.
You do. You absolutely do.
I'd like to tap that to get a meeting with the head of the Divers Guild.
In fact, not only do you have this particular privilege with Prince Humberth, but because of his connection with the Jarl, you also have this privilege with the Jarl of Qisca. So yeah, you go in and introduce yourself. Now, who do you say you're here on behalf of? Yourself?
Prince Humberth.
Prince Humberth. Okay. And they, then Alna would meet with you. And
all right.
You go into a room which you presume to be the Nalna's quarters, at least while she's in Qisca. And there's no bed in this room. But she's reclining in a tub full of water. And it's just silvery hair that's draped down. She has the visage of a sand elf. And she sees you come in. She says, "Ah, the servant of Prince Humberth. Come in. I've been expecting someone from your ship, actually."
I introduce myself and I say, "You have. Why is that?"
She chuckles and says, "The men aboard the friendly Flumph, I believe it is, tossed over an object of significant wealth, and we recovered it. So I owe you and your captain some measure of gratitude."
I take this in stride, and I'm just like, well, we've been happy to be of service to you, and I'm here to talk with you about the upcoming vote for the Jarl.
She nods.
I realize that you don't normally like to take an interest in human politics. However, I feel like in this instance, maybe you would like to reconsider. You see, I've heard about your past troubles with the Swagan, and the Prince Humberth is no friend to the Swagan at all. In fact, recently me and my companions rescued him from a tribe of Swagan, including a sea witch. And as such, he bears them nothing but ill will.
At the mention of that, well, first she asks, "How many of the dreaded Sahagin did you manage to kill?"
Personally, I slew 4 of them, which is true.
I was gonna ask, is that true?
That's absolutely true.
That is true. He was a first level character in that dungeon, but he was launching fire bolts at monsters and shit that had vulnerability to fire, so...
I had pepper.
And she hears your story. Like, how much do you tell her? Do you leave anything out?
No, I tell pretty much the whole story.
She says, "I've heard that, well, scratch that. Rather, she says, my agents did recover the dreaded vessel of the sea hag Abinahir recently, within the past month, but we were not privy to the knowledge of how it was brought down. And you have proof that it was Prince Humberth and the people aboard this ship, the Flumph, who were the agents of the Sea Witch's destruction."
Indeed. In fact, I have personal proof of this. On the ship, I have taken a trophy from our conquest, a trident that was used by a spellcaster priest of the Swagans.
Roll Insight. DC 15.
I think that's... No, it's not going to do it.
That's going to do nothing, no. But I do like how Nodal always rolls his dice, like, in my field of vision, whereas McClain always rolls his dice, like, over fucking here somewhere. I always have to zoom way out and go hunting for McClain's dice when he rolls.
I don't know what your field of vision is.
Oh, well, for the, I guess I never did explain it, but as a rule of thumb, I'm trying to keep, like, the camera focused on wherever the action is taking place. Right now, I'm over High Harbor.
Oh, okay. I just usually grab a die and roll it wherever it's at.
She says, "What do you
I
intend?
tend to roll where I am.
What do you intend to do with this trident?
Well, personally, I'm currently engaged in researching it for myself to come to understand the magics behind it. You see, if the Swaggin are attacking as of late, I fear that we may have further dealings with them, and I'd like to know all I can.
She says, my people always have dealings with the Sahagin, and so do the local Shipwrights Guild and Fishermen's Guild here in Qisca. It's a port town, they're always a danger. She's like, if it's true, if you can prove that you brought down the sea hag Abina here, then we would owe you a debt.
I say to her, that's good to hear, but I would prefer that you would consider the debt in Prince Humberth's keeping, because he himself already owes a debt to the Swaggin. In fact, a debt of vengeance for the loss of his hand.
She nods. She says, I had heard of that, but I did not hear it was the Sahagin that had taken it. She says, well, that is owed to you. If you wish to pass it along to Prince Humberth, I suppose that is your prerogative. But still, we must see the proof.
Alright, I'm going to actually invite invite her herself and any other guild mates or guild masters, such as the Shipwrights Guild, who would like to come back with me to visit the ship.
Now, who's specifically? Are you looking at this list? Are you inviting anybody in particular?
Her and the people that she just mentioned, the Shipwrights Guild, and especially the Shipwrights Guild, because I noticed that he's a shipbuilder from Dunfoss, even though he doesn't especially like Prince Humberth.
And he's undecided, so... Okay. Well, she says that she has no particular love of Null Agnar. She and him don't exactly see eye to eye on many things, but that he perhaps would have an interest in hearing about the decimation of these Sahagin. So she doesn't particularly have sway to invite him to anything, but you, of course, would be able to approach him.
Alright, and unless you want to roleplay that out, I'll just send him an invitation to come see the ship with the bear details.
How do you send him an invitation?
You know what? If it's not going to take too long, I'd actually like to go back to the palace and see if any of the Marines we brought over have relatives here in Qisca who might know the Null Agnar.
No, none of them do.
Right,
I'll tell you what, though.
Case,
you can make a history check.
All right. Uh, 14 plus something.
Okay, yeah, DC was 15.
4, so 18.
Null Agnar, I don't know what his family name is, but it would be something that's known to you. This happened less than a generation ago. His family were shipbuilders in Dunfoss, but his ancestral homeland was outside of Dunfoss proper. They owned quite a lot of farmland, and Humberth's house, the decision wasn't from Humberth himself. Obviously, it was Humberth's father. But the decision was made to build a road through those lands to facilitate better trade with a dwarven settlement a ways inland. And a path already existed that kind of curved the terrain, but this particular road needed to be built across this farmland. And there was, you recall, it was below you, because we're talking about like a relatively well-to-do peasant family, but they weren't nobles. Yeah. So you recall the conflict between this family and the crown of Dunfoss, and you recall that they lost very badly. And in the end, Humberth's father seized the lands, deposed the family, and you don't know what became of them after that. But Agnar is either a member or the heir to that particular family. That's why he has come to have no love for Prince Humberth.
Alright, in that case, I seek an audience with Prince Humberth.
Okay. And it is granted. And before you get to anything, he asks how it's going.
Sorry about that. Am I back?
What was that?
That was my headset.
That was his thing.
Non-Euclidean horrors at Prince Humberth.
I ask him, One second. I tell him about how I said Fred off to visit the contacts he had made around the Songstress Guild, and also I tell him of my meeting with the Divers Guild, and that we are taking. I'm going to meet with them to bring them to the ship to show them the evidence that we fought the Swagan.
And he says, "That's very smart thinking. I'm glad that I put you on this job."
In addition, Prince, the current master of the Shipwrights Guild is Null Agnar, and I heard that your family had dealings with his in the past.
He snorts. He says, "Dealings? You could say that. We needed his family's land, and they refused to cede it. We offered to purchase it for a princely sum, more than they deserved. They stood their ground, and in the end, they got nothing."
Let me think here. If I were to meet with him and he was to express any reasonable interest in this land, would I have your permission to grant this request?
He shakes his head. He says, "It's over and done with now. The road is built. The buildings had been raised." He says, "The land has been... the arable land that remained was given to other families." He says, the royal edict is done. My hands are tied on it." Do you make a joke about where he says hands?
No, I'm gonna dodge that.
You were thinking it though, right? You were thinking it.
I might have been thinking it a little. But perhaps then some special grant could be given to the Shipwrights Guild.
Well, it's my understanding that while Agnar has no love for me and my house, and perhaps may seek vengeance, he also has suspicion that House Nabiri, who controls most of the trade in Qisca, wishes to hone in on some of his trade. So that's why he's abstaining from this vote, is my understanding. He doesn't want to vote for me, but he doesn't want to vote for Nabiri either. So perhaps you could leverage that. Make me and my father seem as though we are the lesser of two enemies.
Could I also offer him some trade dealings with your house?
He thinks on that for a moment. Says we really have no need of his trade, but if it would assuage his anger, then perhaps an accord could be made. We could put in a contract for some number of ships, I suppose. We did lose 4 in the battle with the Sahagin.
I'm going to say excellent. In that case, then I will set up the meeting, and I will report back to you any findings that I have.
Now, are you setting up a meeting between Agnar and the Prince?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I was planning on just bringing them to the ship for now.
Okay.
That ship has Swagan burns and all kinds of shit on it. We got magic mist bottles. Like, if they want proof of Swagan fights.
So, while all this taking on, what is Orphan doing?
So
I'm gonna say this is the next day now, because a lot of what he just did would have had to happen during the day.
I want to say that I told Orphan all the crazy kooky shit that I saw going on in that place. I of course leave out the bit about me rigging the machine, but I do tell her, hey, they got this stupid coin flipping machine, and all their rights seem to just basically be excuses to drink.
I say that sounds fascinating. I should tell my niece. She'd be interested to hear the truth about the guild.
Is that what you're doing? Heading up to the school?
Yeah, because I was going to visit Amshun anyway, so I might as well, pay attention to Niece while I'm there.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do some of that right now.
Alright.
Does that even like you?
No, that's what I'm trying to fix.
So, you go to the school, and where do you look for Nanise? Are you going directly to the dorms?